Gary Gastelou, and this is the Variety Hour, where anything can happen, and usually it doesn't. But today we've got some fun stuff here on the panel. With me right now, the #1 pickup artist in America, Adam Lyons. We're going to be talking about the business you're in, which is not one that I've ever been in, that's for sure. A little bit later on, Elizabeth Mayhew, editor-in-chief of Women's Day, going to be going over some of the great articles in the magazine this month. And then T.J. Walker will be here later with his picks. Who did well, who did poorly last night during the Oscar acceptance speech. Did you guys watch the Oscars yesterday?
Yeah, we did.
Make it all the way through. What do you think of Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin hosting?
Yeah, I think they did well. I think it wasn't too bad. Yeah, they did a good job. Some of the cutaways I thought were a little bit, the skits were a bit strange. But you know, it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a very cleverly written show, for sure. And those guys could definitely deliver the lines. And I'm guessing you can deliver the lines, too. Now, let me get this straight, because this is totally new stuff to me. You are the #1 pickup artist in the United States.
Yeah.
You are British, though, so I'm guessing it's just you work within the United States.
Yeah.
Of course, with you, though, is your wife, Amanda, so I'm not really sure how that all works. But let's go back to the beginning. How did you become a pickup artist, a professional pickup artist, actually?
It literally fell in my lap. I started out as a student. I wanted to learn how to talk to women, how to approach them. I'd had a whole bunch of bad relationships, and I thought that rather than doing the typical guy thing of sort of like blaming the girls and thinking, oh, a better one will come along, I decided that I'd do something about it myself. And so I literally went out there, started talking to people. I found some people that knew about it to start teaching. And my skills started improving over time. And I had no intention of ever teaching it. I just went out there, kept practicing over and over again, and slowly word would spread, and people were like, hey, Adam's getting really good results. Adam's kind of like, you know, meeting a lot of women. We should hang around him. The next thing I know, the media gets involved. I had some magazines write some articles. There was a couple of TV documentaries came out, and the next thing I know, I've got people all over the world wanting to learn from me.
So did you have bad relationships, or you couldn't even get in relationships in the first place?
I had like 3 relationships. All of them went really badly, and I was like clutching at straws trying to keep them alive. And that was it. I mean, every time I'd talk to a girl, I'd get rejected. I mean, it was a typical story of your, you know, average guy who really just has no idea what he's doing. But then, you know, I slowly managed to turn it around.
Now, I think if people have heard of pickup artists before, they think of that guy Mystery who's got his show there. You're not dressed like a pimp.
Thank you very much.
Different act for you out there?
Completely different. When I first started studying, I started studying similar kind of lines to Mystery and to the guys that teach that kind of stuff. I just didn't think it was right for me. My background's in psychology, so rather than hitting the sort of like alternative fashion stores, I hit the psychology books. I learned how to communicate, I learned how to talk, I learned how to hold conversation, I learned how to speak in a way that is a little bit more emotionally based rather than just talking factual, and rather than spending my time trying to impress a girl, I'm much more likely to sit down and try and find out what impresses them, what things that motivate them in life, and to really try and get to know them. And of course the key thing, which is the #1 thing we teach, which is making sure you've got female friends in your life. Having a social circle of females is so much more beneficial than running around a bar with a bunch of dudes trying to hit on chicks.
Now, what are your customers looking for, though? I mean, are they looking to learn how to meet women to take them home with them, or are they looking to meet women to take them home with them for the rest of their lives? I mean, what is it really about?
We usually get both kind of customers that come to us. We usually have a lot of guys that they didn't have that kind of success when they were younger, and they almost want to relive their younger years. They want to go back to being in college, back to their early 20s, where they can run around, meet women, take them home. But we usually find that almost all of them want to have a substantial relationship in the future. They want to get married, they want to settle, but usually they want to get the fun out of the way first.
So now, you guys are married. How long have you been married now?
I've been married for a year.
Now, did you pick her up, or the other way around?
kind of
debatable.
both, yeah. Like I said, one of the key things we teach is building up a social circle of friends, using that to meet women in a very natural kind of way. And I met Amanda through a social group of female friends in exactly the same way we teach. And then there was a bit of a battle for a few years, and then last year we finally tied the knot.
So we're going to get to it in a little more detail after this, but the title, #1 Pickup Artist in the USA, that's the Pickup Artist Summit.
Yeah.
Big, giant event. Is this the first time they've done it? Have they done it before?
No, they've been going for about 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
They're based in Hollywood, and it's kind of like a collection of all of the pickup artists in the world. They sort of all turn up in Hollywood, and they sort of trade the latest advice, kind of like a conference, I suppose it is. And then back to back with that, they run the award ceremony, where throughout the year they take people and encourage them to vote on who they think the #1 pickup artist of the world is going to be.
How many of these guys are actually professionals at this, that they make money doing it, as opposed to just they're out there doing it themselves
There's
for
a
fun.
lot of guys that like to consider themselves professionals. A lot of people think, oh, I can do this, and just turn up trying to teach people, but they don't really know what they're talking about. But there's probably a good handful, probably 24 guys that run successful businesses, run good companies, that do these seminars, do the workshops. So we probably have about 25, maybe 30 people that we're in competition with.
All right, I want to talk a little bit more about that, but we do have to break for commercial right now. We'll be right back after this. We're talking about the summit, but got a comment here from one of our viewers, Craig Blanton. He says you're sitting here talking about a lot of chicks holding your wife's hand. How do you feel about his past as a pickup artist? And we're not even exactly sure how successful you were, as some guys might consider that. But I mean, is this something that's cool? I mean, obviously, but I mean, you know, when you think about it, I mean, is it something that ever becomes a problem with you guys?
Of course, at the beginning, it was an issue because I was like, all right, you're a pickup artist. I knew what he did as soon as I met him, so it's not something I found out later that was sprung up on me or anything.
So he was a professional when he met you,
yes,
so you knew where he was coming from.
But I also knew of this industry before I did meet him. So when I met him, I was like, okay, you're one of those guys, I understand. So that's why we mentioned earlier there was kind of a battle for the first year or so, and it's because no girl wants to go home and say, hey mom, I'm dating a pickup artist. That's not, you know, our ideal. And of course my mom jumped on Google right away to see who he was and found out, so that makes it even better. So there was a battle at the beginning, but I mean, it's something that I knew from the beginning, and when we did start dating, we did decide it was going to be exclusive, it was just going to be me and him, and obviously we're married now, it is completely monogamous, he's not going out, picking up other chicks, or running around doing that anymore. So it's fine.
But how much is it in the business about sex, as opposed to just meeting people? I mean, you know, I'm sure the guys sit around that conference every year talking about how many people they've slept with that year. I mean, how much is it about that? What kind of numbers are they talking there?
I think in the past, I think it's always been about sex. I think up until about a year ago, and this is why when I first decided that I wanted to get married, there was a very big part of me that thought this might be it. This might literally be the end of my career. I might have to stop teaching guys because I didn't know how well respected it would be. And this is what I think is so beautiful about this sort of like male self-help movement that we're seeing, is I was voted #1 in the world. And for them to look at a married guy who they know doesn't talk to women, doesn't go out there, and doesn't do it anymore, they were looking at somebody who had done it, they'd seen that I was capable of doing it, and more importantly, that I'd got married. They chose to look at that and decide that that was what they wanted to do. And we're seeing that reflect in our students. We asked them at the very beginning of the course, why are you here? Are you here because you want to improve your sex life, or are you here because you want to meet the one? And I'm happy to say 90 to 95% of people sign up because they want to meet somebody special, because they're scared of dying alone.
Really, that much?
It's massive.
What kind of age group are most of your customers?
I'd say the majority is sort of like 18 to 35, but I mean, we do definitely get some, I mean, we had a 64-year-old just very recently in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
So yeah, so it goes right through.
64-year-olds.
Yeah,
Yeah, 64-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, they did really well. It was amazing. This guy, I mean, I'll be honest with you, this guy, he wasn't looking for the one. We had a 64-year-old guy, he signed up and he said, look, you know, haven't had any action in 15 years, you know, I just want to make sure that 15 years ago wasn't the last time. And he ended up taking a 32-year-old Brazilian model back to his hotel suite.
Now that guy, you taking him to the kind of place you would go to, or the kind of place he should be going to if he was, you know, on the scene himself?
We do both. We try to choose the venues and where we go based on who we're working with. So if we have a younger group, we'll take them to more bars, nightclub kind of areas. If we have older guys, we'll do lounges, hotel bars, jazz bars. We do daytime stuff too, so we'll do coffee shops, grocery stores, the streets of New York, wherever. So we kind of mix and match depending on who we're working
Grocery
with.
stores?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So what's a good way? What's a good way? All right, Whole Foods.
Best.
Tell me about it. There's one near me. I'm married. I've got kids. I'm not one of your potential customers, but I am interested because I see it going on in there, and you wonder who's looking at who's checking out who. What do you do at Whole Foods?
Okay, Whole Foods, the easiest thing, or the first thing, and the biggest mistake that guys make is you have to pick up a basket. I see so many guys walking around there with no basket in their hand. If you've got a guy walking up to you in a Whole Foods, exactly, without a basket in their hand, you know that he's probably just in there picking up chicks. So when we train guys, the first thing we do is you've got to fit into your surroundings. So he picks up a basket, and we suggest to them, you know, go there for lunch. Go and actually buy some lunch. Then when you're walking around, rather than doing any weird kind of like lines or routines or chat-up lines, just asking, hey, you know, which of these two things do you recommend? Get into a conversation about the food. Once they start helping you, especially in New York, one of the best things to say is, wow, you're really friendly. You don't come across as a typical New Yorker. Are you originally from here? The next thing you know, you're in a conversation, finding out about where they're from. You can talk about whether you've been to that area, and before you know it, a conversation that initially started about sandwiches is now talking about your home ground, or where you like to visit, or where you like to go on holiday, and you're walking around Whole Foods together in conversation. And from that point on, it's very simple, a simple case of just sort of getting their contact details to continue the conversation in the future.
So basically, you're teaching them lines that anybody could use.
Completely.
But these are the foot in the door to an honest kind of conversation with somebody.
Exactly. It's the kind of stuff that if you walk around and you see some guy and you think, wow, how did he get that girl? And you go up to him, how do you do it? And he's like, oh, you know, we met through friends at a party. You know how it is. And they don't give you any information. You're like, well, no, I don't know how it is. I don't know how it was said. Could you tell me? And they're like, oh, it was just normal conversation. None of that helps. We break down that normal conversation. We give it to you step by step by step, so you cannot fail but to get the kind of results that you see other people getting around you.
Yeah, you guys are based in Texas.
Yeah, we are.
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Bryan, Texas, anywhere near there?
Not that I know of.
Bryan, anyway. Justice from Bryan wants to know, for guys who are shy and don't go out, what's the best way to pick somebody up?
The first thing is you can't expect to not go out and yet still be able to meet people. That's definitely contradictory. You do have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to expand your social circle. One of the best things we suggest doing, we were actually talking about in the hallway, was start something new. Join a club, go to a class, go to a yoga class, go to a gym, go bike riding with friends. Whatever you can do to just kind of go out there, meet new people, and actually interact with them. A lot of people will sign up for that yoga class or that gym class, but then they'll go, do their hour, and leave. You need to go, do the hour, interact, socialize, make friends along the way.
Now, what about the whole online social networking? Is this a completely different area, or does some of the stuff you do carry over into that?
I genuinely think that it's a really good side thing to do. I think it's something you should do as well as going out, but I do feel that a lot of people are so reliant on technology that they've kind of forgotten the importance of going out and interacting normally. One of the best uses for the online social media stuff is to actually use it in conjunction with going out for real. So, sometimes asking somebody's phone number might be a little bit scary for a guy who's maybe never gone out of his house and doesn't really go out and socialize. Asking for somebody's Facebook is a bit easier, because all you really do is need to know their name. So something like that, then you can get talking to them online, and it kind of reinforces the real-life interaction. And of course, you can set up an event and invite them out to it with a whole bunch of other friends, and it becomes easier to meet them again.
So it's competitive out there in the clubs, but I do want to go back to the Pickup Artist Summit, which is a competition. I mean, this business has turned into a competition. So what actually goes on there? Do you guys go up to a mic and give your best lines? I mean, do you have to sell people on your talent, or is it just everybody knows each other and it's just some sort of blind vote they do at some point during the conference?
The conference, it's puasummit.com, and what they do is during the year they invite the people that they think are the best speakers, the people they think have got the most value to add, and then all of the guys, the students that are training and the people that are interested in this. Like I said, there's about 100,000 people that are sort of like actively doing this. A whole bunch of them will buy tickets, and they'll pack out one of the big hotels in Hollywood. And then the speakers come up and each one gets an hour on stage to kind of like talk about their latest theories or to discuss their latest ideas on what may or may not work and what have you.
So it's almost like a symposium.
Yeah, straight up.
It just sounds a lot more scientific and maybe not as cool as you might imagine a pickup artist convention.
It's not as cool, and it's a lot more scientific.
It's not like, all right, we're all heading over to Sky Bar, whoever gets back first with somebody is the winner.
Unfortunately not.
It's not.
Yeah, it's much more about PowerPoint presentations and graphs and psychological breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And they sort of stand up and talk, and then at the end of it, everyone will vote on who they think was number one, based on online voting and in-person voting, and at the end of it they hand out the awards.
And I guess the focus here, we're kind of focusing on guys here, but you do this for women as well. And one of our viewers would like to know, what are the basic tips there? I mean, is there anything different from the female side when you're doing this sort of thing, or is it kind of the same rules and the same techniques?
Yeah, the difference with kind of men and women in this industry is that men have a hard time meeting women, getting to know them at the beginning, interacting with them. Whereas women, we find it's less of a problem to actually meet a man, but more to retain the relationship once you're actually in one. So it's a bit different on that end. But we do teach women as well, and we do teach them kind of the relationship aspect. Once you're in it, how to keep them interested instead of getting the guy bored and wanting to kind of move on to the next.
Right, so you got the business, the pickup artist
puatraining.com, yeah.
And you also have a book, The Diary of a Pickup Artist. Now, is that more of an autobiography? Is this something somebody could read and get some tips out of?
Yeah, I mean, this is when I first started studying. Like I said, I was a student, and I wanted to learn how to do this. I kept a diary of everything that I did. Mm-hmm. So it starts from my very first entry, where I was like, wow, I can't believe I've actually met people that can make this work, right through to when I first actually met Amanda. And I kept track of absolutely everything in this diary. And then, publishers got involved, and they were like, we think this should be spread with the world. And it's up on Amazon now if anybody's interested. And it literally is a breakthrough of some of my personal notes to myself as I discovered things that worked, some of the psychological journals that I found that reinforced my ideas, and also actual breakdowns of kind of like the dates that I went on and what happened during them.
Real quick, we got to get going, but what's it cost your services if somebody needs a little training?
The basic online stuff you can get completely for free if you just go to the website. But if you want to come down to puatraining.com, but if you want to come down and do something in person, it costs about $1,000 for a full weekend.
$1,000 for a weekend.
Exactly.
Not bad, not bad. Thanks. I would have thought it would be a little bit more than that. But anyway, Adam Lyons and Amanda Lyons, thanks for dropping by.